Chapter 11. The Law of the Inner Circle. A leader's potential is determined by those closest to him. Our biblical example of this law is David. What made David a great man? That's easy to answer. His heart for God. What made him a great leader? That's harder to answer. David had a lot of things going for him: talent, humility, courage, vision. But I assert that second only to his desire to love God and serve Him was David's ability to surround himself with strong people and team up with them to achieve greatness. Like the potential of any other strong leader, David's potential was determined by those closest to him. That's the power of the law of the inner circle. David was a man of many talents, and he was able to accomplish many things on his own. He was a skillful musician, a prolific songwriter, and he was a courageous warrior as displayed by his single-handed defeat of Goliath. But David's destiny was for greater accomplishments than those that he could do only on his own. He was to have influence over an entire nation. As we examine his life, you will see that his noteworthy accomplishments were only made possible by the circle of people around him. But to establish his inner circle, David had to begin with just one person, Jonathan. When David was on the run and Saul was determined to kill him, his future looked bleak. He was hated and hunted. But everything changed for David when Jonathan stepped into his life. Perhaps that relationship taught David the law of the inner circle. From that moment on, David's success rose and fell in direct proportion to the quality of people he had around him. It's important to note that David didn't wait until he held a leadership position to begin building his inner circle. Long before he ascended the throne of Israel, while he was being hunted by Saul, David began drawing people to himself. Ironically, after Jonathan, David's next inner circle members were his father and brothers, the people who had dismissed and ignored him when Samuel sought to anoint a new king from the house of Jesse. David's other followers were misfits, the distressed, debt-ridden, and the discontented. Yet David transformed the people who came to him into a winning team. That early group of men helped him stay out of the reach of Saul, assisted him in saving the city of Keilah, and fought alongside him in many victories, including those over the Geshurites, the Girzites, and the Amalekites. In fact, that first group of men made up the core that would remain with David during the worst of times. As David gained experience and grew in his leadership, he continued to attract stronger and stronger people, and he also molded those who came to him into great warriors and leaders. Scripture speaks of David's mighty men, a group like no other in all the Bible. The men were strong warriors when they came to David, but he made them even stronger. He mentored, inspired, and elevated them to become as good as or better than he was. And by the time David ascended the throne of Judah, he had developed a strong inner circle. By the time he became king of all Israel, he was ready to build a powerful nation. With his core people, David was able to conquer his enemies and build Israel into a strong nation unlike any the Hebrews had ever known before. As he ascended the throne of Israel, David's circle of followers turned into a huge army. And by the time warriors from all the tribes came to him, he had more than 230,000 warriors following him. But the size of the team isn't what makes a leader great. It's the core of the team, the leader's inner circle, and David built a remarkable one. Listen to how David pulled together the core people who made him great. Number one, he started building a strong inner circle before he needed it. As I mentioned before, David began building his team long before he was crowned king. 1 Samuel 22 describes how warriors were drawn to David even from the time that he was a fugitive. But a passage in 1 Chronicles is much more specific. It emphasizes how many of them were leaders. The 11 men listed from Gad were captains of the army, the least of which commanded 100 men, and the greatest over 1,000. David didn't just attract anyone, he attracted strong leaders. Number 2, he attracted people with varied gifts. Scripture also captures the diversity of the abilities possessed by the people David attracted. First at Ziklag before he became king, then at Hebron after he ascended the throne. Listed are experienced warriors with a variety of skills, many mighty men of valor, and hundreds of captains. With these men's help, David would be ready for anything. Number 3, he engendered loyalty. Throughout David's life, his followers displayed incredible loyalty. Before David was king, when he stated that he was thirsty for a drink from the well of Bethlehem, 3 of his men risked their lives to get him some of that water. Decades later, when David's son Absalom committed treason against him and it looked as though David might be defeated, his closest men stayed with him. The people closest to David always seemed willing to put their lives on the line for him. Number 4, he delegated responsibility based on ability. David continually gave authority to people. He designated Joab as commander of the army after he led the charge that conquered Jerusalem. When seasoned captains came to him, he empowered them to continue in that capacity. And he was equally secure in giving others civil authority in his administration. David was an incredible leader and a team builder, but in many ways he was an ordinary person with flaws, problems, and failures. Thanks to his inner circle, he became a remarkable king and ruler. He made his inner circle great, and his inner circle made him great. And that's true of the best leaders. As you reflect on the law of the inner circle and the story of David, know this. Number 1, teamwork makes the dream work. Number 2, a team is more than just a group of people. Number 3, the qualities inside the leader determine who is inside the circle. And number 4, teammates complete one another, not compete with one another. How much value have you been putting on your team? Have you cultivated a strong team focus? Or have you tended to be more of a one-person show? If you're not sharing your vision, your responsibility, and your authority, then it's only a matter of time before you hit a huge wall in your leadership. As you prepare to turn off the tape, take the remaining minutes of your time to reflect on one goal you are currently trying to achieve alone. Now think of a leader that you are close to whose help you can enlist to reach your goal and follow through on getting his or her help. If you want to learn more about David and the law of the inner circle, read his story in the book of 1 Samuel.